Hi there, my name is Stu Cabe and I'm with the Chalkboard Agency. You're going to hear a story from a very good friend of mine, John Owens. Now, I've known John for several years. We met through our mutual love of live theater. John is a very talented musician, a vocalist, a writer, producer, and a fantastic performer. He is a man of many talents. However, what John's going to share with us is a completely different type of talent. It is the talent of survival. You see, John spent much of his time in high school legally homeless. And John will explain what legally homeless is, but the real story is how, as a high school senior, he made one decision that changed his life and the lives of so many others.
My name is John Owens. Currently, I am 32 years old, and when I was in high school, there was a period of time where I was legally considered homeless. And you might be asking yourself, what does legally homeless even mean? Because I didn't really even know what it meant when I wasn't. But basically, I didn't have legal guardianship. I was on my own. I didn't have somebody to call if there was an issue at school. I didn't have a mailing address. I was couch surfing. I lived at friends' houses for, a week, a month, 6 months at a time. And that lasted for about 2 years. And through that and some other circumstances, I ended up being a 5-year high school student. That started at the beginning of my first senior year, and I didn't graduate, and I opted to continue on for a full another year instead of just ending there, to kind of give it another shot, because my first senior year was so up and down. And through my second senior year, I was still homeless, but I started getting some new friends because I was at a new school. Being an open book and sharing my story, people started calling me Homeless John, and that got shortened to Hobo Joe eventually. And I had friends that would introduce me to new people as Hobo Joe, and that was just something that people knew me as. Whether they knew I was actually homeless or not, they knew me as Hobo Joe. And it's kind of a silly, funny story, but that's what I was known as, was Hobo Joe. And the area I was living in had a pretty decent problem with homeless youth that was documented, and there was tons that were not documented, but they're just numbers. There's no names for privacy reasons attached to those numbers. And so the school was trying to figure out how to bring awareness to the issue of homeless youth. And the school newspaper was talking, and somebody overheard the conversation of this idea of the homeless youth and all that stuff. And so someone overheard him and like, well, Homeless John's homeless, you could talk to him. So they ended up interviewing me and talking to me about my story of being homeless and sharing that on the front page of the school newspaper. And so now the name Hobo Joe has context, and everyone in the school knew I was actually homeless. It was not just a silly nickname. And what that did was the biggest impact for me in that was I had people coming up to me asking me where to get help, and how to get help, with food stamps or bus passes or insurance or whatever it may be, where to live, where to get whatever resources. Because I was able to talk about it, I had resources that I could give to people that were struggling in a similar way that I was. But where did all that start? Like, why did I end up homeless in the first place? It really had to do with mental health of my mom, primarily. And it can be traced back to probably a sexual physical assault that she experienced when she was in high school, possibly middle school. And that, it was just swept under a rug. Her parents, my grandparents, that generation didn't like to talk about issues. If there was something going on, it was swept under the rug. You present your best self, and you don't talk about the dirty, nitty-gritty stuff. And that created a lot of problems for my mom throughout my entire childhood that was put a lot of pressure on me, and eventually led to a breaking point with the whole family, to where I got kicked out of the family, and all kinds of stuff happened that led to me being legally considered homeless with the state. And the only way I was able to get out and do where I'm at now is by seeking help, because I sought out counsel, I sought out mentorship, and just processing the stuff that I went through as a child and a teen, to grow as a functional adult, giving back to society and participating in society in a healthy way. And now I'm married and I have a baby and another one on the way. And I bought a house this last year, and building a business, and it's really exciting. But the story is not the same for my brothers. I have two younger brothers that did not seek help, and they are still to this day, 15 years later, caught up in the drama and the dysfunction of my family, and being homeless and struggling to get by in a lot of ways. And it's really sad to see, but I was able to get out of that because I got help, and so there's help out there for you. It is out there, but the help doesn't know that you need it. And so if you are struggling, if you know somebody that's struggling with anything, seek help. Talk to somebody. Talk to a close friend, talk to a parent, talk to a teacher, somebody that you trust, to get help. It's out there for you. Don't be afraid to share your story with somebody.
Hey, thank you, John, for sharing your story, and it is great to hear how well things are going for you in your life right now. However, as we just heard, John's journey came with some very big challenges, especially when it came to his family. And as John told us, his life turned out very different from his brothers for one simple reason. He chose to seek help. His brothers didn't, and they're still being held back by the gravity of his family's dysfunction. And John's story of struggle and ultimately triumph raises some very interesting questions. Question number one, is there something perhaps you need help with but are afraid to ask? Question two, who in your life may be struggling to seek help, and how can you help them? And finally, question three, what is something that you successfully overcame? Thank you. This is Stu with the Chalkboard Agency.